I vetted thousands of media buyers with the goal of finding the top 1% of them and reverse engineering how they scale businesses so successfully. Like, what separates the best media buyers from the rest? What do they do differently in their day-to-day to achieve significantly higher ROIs with ads? And what can we learn from them? That's what this video will answer. We're also finding that the gap between junior media buyers and the best is only widening with AI, and those junior media buyers, they're getting quickly replaced. Now, for some quick context, I've worked at Hyros with Alex Becker since it started, and through that, I've built up a network of top 1% media buyers over the past several years, which is now MediaBuyer.com. Basically, we're obsessed with ruthlessly vetting media buyers' entire track records, all their results. It's basically like a 35-step vetting process, like a 3-month gauntlet where they have to verify everything. So what my team and I did was take a look at our entire top 1% network, our vetting process, and we identified the key qualities of top-tier media buyers and the best marketers in the paid ads industry. Now, first of all, media buying is not the same role that it used to be even just a few years ago. Back in 2017, for example, a Facebook media buyer was like this wizard who could just wave a magic wand and find some secret audience to target. And now it doesn't work like that anymore. And what's also interesting is that many people think that media buyers are simply button pushers, while others believe that it's one of the most important roles in marketing, kind of like having a growth partner. Now, both of these views are true depending on the media buyer, but the difference is pretty simple. Now, for this, I'm going to introduce my facetious, kind of triggering graphic and metaphor to illustrate the difference between a top 1% media buyer and what's called a button pusher media buyer. So what is considered a button pusher media buyer? So these are entry level or junior media buyers that are stuck in the tactical execution. And for example, they're going to be just uploading new ads into the ads manager or reporting on simple metrics, kind of just doing as they're told, and they're not really driving or contributing to the strategy. Now, what's considered a top 1% media buyer? These are exceptional, highly full stack marketers that treat media buying as a high stakes business lever. They're the ones that are typically driving the strategy. They're providing recommendations on funnel optimizations, creatives, and their role is heavily tied to performance-based outcomes like revenue generation. They have that business owner mindset or leader mindset, and a really good way to view this is through this graph here of an asymmetric return. So top media buyers view paid ads as leverage. And this graph shows an asymmetric return where they put $1 into ads and get $3, $5, $10 back when it's optimized right. And this asymmetric return is what exceptional media buyers are constantly chasing and trying to engineer. It's really a total mindset shift that most media buyers miss entirely. Now, let's go into the qualities of a button pusher media buyer. And this is what we do not want. We do not want that button pusher energy. I mean, look how much money he's losing here. This is not something that we want to model. So, button pusher media buyer. These are people that are doing the bare minimum and they're basically just doing what they're told and nothing more. They're following SOPs or client briefs pretty robotically. They're the ones that are just kind of launching ads as is, and they're not proactively trying to find new opportunities to boost performance. Next is tunnel vision. So this means that they're very focused on ad platform metrics, or they stay too stuck in it and they miss the bigger picture. For example, they might obsess on getting super cheap clicks or leads, like $2 leads or 2-cent clicks, but they don't realize that that's just one part of the picture, and by itself, those metrics don't really matter on their own. I heard from Alex Hormozi as well as Sam Ovens that they might say something like, I'd be willing to pay $1,000 per click if I knew 100% of clicks purchased, which kind of breaks their paradigm, and that's what I'm talking about here with tunnel vision. Next is emotional decisions or emotional decision making. So it means they make decisions based on gut feel or opinion instead of letting cold hard data inform their decision making. Copying the market or copying AI, which is something that we are starting to see a lot more, unfortunately, as AI is becoming more prominent. So this means that they rely on generic templates or cookie cutter strategies, or they literally just copy paste AI copy without doing any customization, or they do the same thing with competitor ads. I tend to call this a copy paste warrior, or they're learning from outdated courses or outdated strategies and tactics that aren't effective anymore, and they never change their approach. This is a classic situation of when an expert marketer or media buyer enters the chat and they find a bunch of noob errors and low-hanging fruit to optimize. Next is reactive. So this means that they're only acting when things break, like they pause ads when they start to lose money, or they never anticipate issues like audience fatigue or creative fatigue, and they won't proactively go out of their way to make new split tests or to try to drive the funnel and the overarching strategy further. Next is blames the market. So when ads don't perform well, they might immediately point to bad creatives or weak offers, and they basically just give up at first sign of resistance without trying to go deeper and figure out what the exact bottleneck is. And there are exceptions to this, by the way. You can't out media buy a bad offer. Many times, if the product or the offer sucks or is unproven, then it is likely beyond the media buyer's control. The inverse also applies as well. A good offer and an established brand will probably have better performing ads, even with mediocre media buying or mediocre ads to a certain extent. Next is messy reporting. This basically means that they have disorganized spreadsheets, or they're relying on inaccurate data or tracking, or they're sharing vague updates that usually confuse you more than providing actual useful insights. And lastly is limited experience, which simply put means that they don't have a consistent proven track record of scaling ads themselves. These are the most common qualities that we'll see across button pusher media buyers. And with that said, now let's move over to the qualities of a top 1% media buyer. Now, the first quality, and arguably one of the most important things that really separates the best media buyers from the rest, is full stack business acumen. In other words, being T-shaped. Now, what does this mean? This is a really great graphic on how to visualize this. So essentially, really top tier media buyers might have deep expertise in paid ads and marketing, but they're also going to be knowledgeable about funnels, conversion rate optimization, creatives and creative strategy, copywriting, economics such as lifetime value, CAC, payback period. So they're not just an expert inside the ads manager, but they see the full funnel and nearly all parts of the business and how they all interconnect. I made this graphic pretty recently where you can see they might have deep expertise in media buying, marketing, but then they're also going to have a lot of knowledge in these other areas as well. They're like a mastermind behind the scenes that's pulling the dials and the levers behind where to ultimately invest their ad dollars, and also how they can deploy their ad dollars in the most efficient way possible so that you can achieve this asymmetric return of profitability. So this is really what a top tier media buyer is. They are extremely full stack, extremely T-shaped. They're not a generalist or an expert at nothing. They're also not someone that just has laser tunnel vision on paid ads and marketing and they don't understand how to read a P&L, for example. They're very holistic. They're looking at the full picture. This is also why it's so hard to find really great media buyers out there, because they're probably already running their own show or they're already full-time somewhere. They're not typically applying to jobs on LinkedIn or on Upwork. And that's what makes it 10 times harder to find these types of individuals unless you go to MediaBuyer.com. So in short, they are optimizing the full funnel. They're tweaking offers, creatives, and crafting a better experience for people after they click on the ad to generate more profits from ads. And that leads us to the second quality, which is proactive. So what this means is instead of reacting when things go wrong, top 1% media buyers are proactively trying to find opportunities to scale further and improve their performance, whether it's testing new audiences or testing new creatives or leveraging new AI tools or adding an upsell somewhere in the funnel to increase lifetime value. These are all things that basically top media buyers are going to be thinking in the shower, how am I going to be scaling these ads further? Now, the next quality is being excruciatingly data driven. This means that they're relying on data to inform their decisions, not gut feelings or not just their opinion on things. They're also exceptional at spotting bottlenecks or patterns in the data and how to act on it. For example, they might look at an ad and wonder, why is this particular ad performing better on Tuesdays? And they're going to incorporate that into their optimization or their strategy. This is also why top media buyers are psychotic about using tools like Hyros for precise tracking and attribution. Because if you're dealing with data that is potentially 20 to 30% off, which is extremely common for platforms like Facebook and Google, that kills your efficiency. Now, next is staying ahead of the market. What this means is that they're on the forefront of industry trends, new tools, strategies. They're constantly testing AI tools or beta testing new features, and they're trying to gain any type of edge before competitors do. They're also going to be involved in masterminds or other peer groups with other very experienced media buyers to stay ahead of the market and on top of these trends. And absolutely, this means leveraging AI as well. Next is critical thinking. I look at this like being a master detective or like a SpaceX engineer. So this means that they're questioning everything and the why behind their performance. So they're looking for patterns and they're testing ideas, and they're like a master detective that's trying to solve this puzzle of making ads more and more profitable. In other words, engineering this asymmetric return. So they're asking questions like, why is this ad not working? Or why is this audience clicking on the ad but not buying? Or what if we try a different audience here? Or what if we try to include an upsell at this point in the funnel? And they do this because every single insight is a potential opportunity for further growth and higher ROI. And then what also ties in with this is strategic minded or strategic thinking. This means that they're thinking like a chess player. Imagine like a Magnus Carlsen who is planning several moves ahead. They're also connecting every ad decision to the overall business goal or the objectives that they set, like keeping CPA low. Next is useful reporting or clear reporting. So this means that they're sharing insights that informs the team of exactly what needs to be fixed, whether it's testing new creatives or optimizing landing page conversion rates, or whether it's the sales team's closing rates that's the bottleneck. Next is being well connected, which means that they have their go-to guy or gal for almost anything that they might need, whether it's leveraging direct contacts at Meta or Google to get better support or to get insider tips or to help them unban their account if it happens, or they have someone on hand to help them edit their video ads or VSLs or creatives. Basically any need that they have someone or a resource or a vendor that they can go to quickly get what they need from them. And by the way, if you want to access and network our top 1% media buyers who have proven, pre-vetted 7, 8, and 9-figure scaling results with ads, just go to MediaBuyer.com and become a member by joining our school group. We literally put all of them through a 35-step vetting process. It's kind of like a Hunger Games or like a 3 to 4 month gauntlet where they have to verify their entire track record, all of their ad spends, revenue, everything. Or if you want to actually hire one of these top 1% media buyers or get one-on-one consulting or strategic advisory from them in your specific industry, then you can simply apply on our website at right here, MediaBuyer.com. So with that being said, these are the qualities that separate the top media buyers that we see in our network. And now let's line them up side by side. Now, the core vibe that you'll see here is that you are either going to have a media buyer that has a employee-based mindset, something that is safe, low accountability, no performance or revenue ownership, versus a top 1% media buyer that has that business owner mindset or that leader mindset. For example, they might advise on your offer to help boost lifetime value, or they might make pretty big bets or bold tests on new ads or new creatives to test to create bigger wins. So while the button pusher has that employee mindset, a top 1% media buyer has that business owner and leadership mindset. The button pusher is going to have tunnel vision, while the top 1% is going to have that full stack business acumen. In other words, this T-shaped graphic that we were showing here earlier. Also, instead of relying on gut-based decisions, top media buyers are going to be excruciatingly data-driven. Instead of just copying the market or copying AI, these media buyers are going to be ahead of trends, and they're not also going to be reactive, but they're also going to be proactive, trying to find new ways to take the ad account and the ads further. Instead of also blaming externalities like bad creatives or bad offer, really top tier media buyers are exceptional at getting to the root cause or the main bottleneck behind why the performance is being held back. And instead of having messy reporting that you can't really act on, great media buyers are going to be providing very clear, actionable insights on what's needed from the team to maximize performance. And last but not least, instead of having limited experience, they have a proven track record of scaling ads profitably. And the differences in the day-to-day responsibilities or the role of each of these differs quite a bit. So a button pusher media buyer is generally going to have more routine, low-risk tasks that are focused on execution. In other words, button clicking inside the ad platforms. And a top 1% media buyer is going to have more dynamic, high impact routines, kind of like a business owner would, that blends analysis of data with lots of testing and collaboration. So a button pusher media buyer is going to be checking basic metrics or reporting on simple metrics. They're going to be taking creatives from the team and just kind of uploading them into the ads manager. Or maybe they're making minor bid adjustments or doing reactive tweaks. Like when the ad spend starts spiking, they're going to pause the ad. And they're mostly doing reactive firefighting without going that extra level deeper. And they're basically just doing more so maintenance-based tasks. And a top 1% media buyer, they're going to be deep diving the data. They're going to be leading or greatly guiding the strategy, such as recommending new ads to test or new ways to optimize the funnel. They're going to be proactively testing either new tools, new audiences, or new ads. They're going to be taking action as well as reporting on useful insights and sharing those insights with the team. They're also going to be learning and networking from other top 1% media buyers, and they're going to be highly involved in other mastermind groups. Now, I know we've covered a lot today, so let's bring it home and kind of distill it. What can we learn from these top 1% media buyers, and what's the takeaway? So whether you're a media buyer or a marketer or a business owner that's running your own ads, focus on building T-shaped full stack business acumen like this graphic that we saw earlier. So master funnel building, copywriting, conversion rate optimization, even design psychology, finance. Also adopt that owner mindset. Start by auditing your entire funnel weekly and taking full ownership of the results in all aspects of the funnel. And you might be wondering, how does AI play into all of this? Like, will AI replace media buyers, or how are media buyers using AI? And I'll make other videos where I really deep dive this based on what we're seeing within our network. However, what we're seeing is that AI is eliminating a lot of the grunt work with paid ads and media buying, in other words, the button pushing, but AI is amplifying top 1% ad strategists to be more effective in their work. It's kind of like supercharging their skill set and their abilities to be better media buyers. For example, in the past, a media buyer might have to spend 6 to 12 hours doing manual market research, while now AI can do much of that in mere minutes. And in other words, you can adapt or get left behind. I really like Elon's thought with this as well, where he basically says something along the lines of, during this transitionary period with AI, the folks that are on the forefront and that are using AI and incorporating AI in their day-to-day work are going to win or do better than the folks that are not using AI. And if you want to network and learn from ruthlessly vetted top 1% media buyers in your industry who already have proven 7, 8, and 9-figure scaling results, you can just join the MediaBuyer.com network on School. We proportionately add more verified 1% media buyers as more and more members join. And there is no celebrity status or no single guru around here. You just get direct access to people who have actually scaled ads for businesses like Tony Robbins or Athletic Greens and a whole other laundry list of amazing brands. Or if you actually want to hire a top 1% media buyer in your industry, just go to MediaBuyer.com and book a demo over there. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.